Hey guys, is the 28-70 worth it when it comes to video? Let's find out.
Discovery Houston, we're still looking at it.
Roger.
Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. My name is Joshua Smith, and if you're new here, we're all about content creation, video production, things like that, a little bit of photography and uplifting stories. So if you like that kind of stuff, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. So check the element out of that thing. If this thing will focus, check that out. Such a beautiful looking lens. Is definitely a game changer for me. But when I looked online, a lot of people were talking about why it's really not perfect or not good for video, and so that kind of made me hesitate about picking this lens up because of the focus breathing, and that is an issue. We'll get into more of that in just a minute, but I want to talk to you guys about the pros about this lens. Number one, this lens saves me time. There's nothing worse than going to a shoot and having all these different lens choices, and it really slows down your creativity. So what I found is it's really nice to have a one and done lens. You got your 28mm for your wide shots. I do wish it was a little bit wider. 24 is good. I would prefer even a 16, but this thing would weigh 400 pounds and be about this big. So anyways, 28 is just about wide enough, and then 70 is nice and tight. You can get some really nice compression, and I love the look that comes out of this lens. The second thing I love about this lens is it's a constant 2.0 aperture, and if you don't know what that means, the lower your aperture, the more light that your lens is going to let in, and that gives you that, you know, in just simple terms, that makes the bokeh pop. It's going to give you some depth. The lens I'm shooting on right now is the Sigma 24mm 1.4, and you can see the separation I get from that lens. 2.0 is just about perfect for me, and I have found that it's extremely sharp at 2.0. A lot of times if you stop your f-stop way down, you lose some of that sharpness, but with this lens, it's sharp all the way through from 28 to 70. The third thing I love about this lens is the color that comes out of this lens. The way it recreates color in an image, I don't know, and I'm not a technical person, and this is not the place to come for technical reviews. There's tons of videos out there like that. But this thing has such a unique look. I can't really explain it to you. It just has such a really cool look to it, and just the roll off is great. Just the image that comes out of this lens is really phenomenal. The fourth thing I love about this lens is the build quality. It is built so well. You can really tell that Canon just kind of threw everything at this lens and like, you know what, watch this. We're just gonna make this lens, and it's kind of like the impossible lens. I love it. The fifth thing I love about this lens is the control ring. All right, listen to that, listen. I love the sound, and I know a lot of people don't use that feature, and I don't understand. When I'm shooting, I can do my ISO, my aperture, and everything all with just my hands without diving into the menu, and this thing has been phenomenal for this. I have this set for my ISO. I love it. It's just an easy adjustment. Even when I'm filming myself, I can just reach over, adjust it if my exposure's off. It's such a phenomenal feature that Canon added, and I love that about this lens. So now let's talk about some of the cons with this thing. And the first thing I will tell you is it does have focus breathing issues, and you just have to learn how to shoot around this. But I recently have updated my Canon R6 to the latest firmware update. They're taking out the trash. Sorry if the audio's jacked. So with the latest firmware update on this Canon, the autofocus just seems to lock on like butter, and it just works. And I don't have as many issues with focus breathing I have noticed after I updated the camera. So that's what a lot of videographers are going to want to know, and why they've stayed away from this. It kind of went to the 24mm, I think it's the 24-70 f2.8, is because that lens doesn't have focus breathing problems. This one did, and it still does to a certain extent, but not like it did before the update. So I would really highly recommend you update to the latest firmware if you have the R6 or the R5, because it is a perfect combination for this lens. The other thing that I don't like about this lens is, I mean, that is a 95mm, if it'll focus. It's not gonna focus, there we go. 95mm thread. That is a massive thread, and ND filters are extremely expensive if you get good ones. I'm cheap. I didn't want to go buy more ND filters or more filters for this lens, but I did find this ring, and I got it off of Amazon, but it is a step down ring from a 95 to an 82. Most of my filters are 82mm because I shoot a lot of times with the 16 to 35. And so I have lots of filters for that lens, so it kind of works out perfect. I will say that one con, when you're taking photos, that has a slight vignette around the edges, very slight, but when it comes to video, when I've used this thing with this filter, if I have an ND filter on there, no issues at all, no vignetting. It just looks great and phenomenal, and it saved me a ton of money. So that is a con, but there is a workaround. I will try to remember to drop the link in the description for this because it was really hard to find. The next thing about this lens that I don't like is it is dang expensive, and that sucks. I mean, really, that's all you can say about it. It's expensive, it's not cheap, and it makes you nervous when you're carrying this thing around. And probably you guys are probably mad at me for throwing this thing around in the air, but yeah. The last thing I will say that I don't like about this lens is the weight. Now that's a pro and a con. I am a firm believer that handheld is way better than putting stuff on gimbal, and the more weight you have on your rig, the better you're gonna get, the better smooth footage you're gonna get. I said that backwards. The better footage you're gonna get. No, the smoother footage you're gonna get. Anyway, so that is a con and a pro for me, but so far I've had this lens for about 2 months now, and it has been really great. So I would say my final verdict, is it worth it? It's absolutely worth it for video. With the latest firmware, with the R6 and the R5, this thing is like, it locks on and it doesn't let go, especially if you're shooting people. And it's just really good. I love it. It has such a unique look, and I think it really is gonna set you apart as a videographer. I am always about glass. This will last me my whole career, where your camera body you're gonna have to change out every 3 or 4 years. So definitely worth the investment if you look at it that way. I kind of have this mindset, if I can make money with something, it's worth the investment. So check out the 28-70 from Canon. I think you'll be really glad that you did. We'll see you in the next video. Peace. Make sure to subscribe.